Another day, another video. Hello everyone, this is the Crusader Historian. Today, well, first off, I apologize that there's been a lack of videos. I have been occupied with graduate school, and accept the fact that with graduate school and hopefully at least a part-time job on the wings, videos are going to be rather hard to come by, but I will try to get there. Well, anyway, I'm was planning on looking at other videos, but recent events kind of caused me to take a step back and take a look at them. And, well, this video is about the Article 13 passed by the European Union. I came across this rather interesting article about what Article 13 says. Says that you have to buy licenses. Commercial sites and apps where users can post materials must make best efforts to buy licenses for anything that users may possibly upload. All copyrighted content in the world. I will say I will post the article of the person who wrote this in the description down below. But I took a look at Article 13. It's very big, very large, which I can say that is very concerning in of itself. But what it is saying is, first and foremost, realistically speaking, I do not have the time to draw that knight in the background. And they say that I have to get licenses for the images. I mean, honestly, how many of you can draw an image just as good as the original? That would take a lot of time and effort, something that regular people like me do not have. And also it talks about other things. Feel free to look at it, but everything from a lot of money for copyright filters, which is expensive in something that basic channels just starting out like me and likely a lot of you, and not to mention, this is a hobby for me. I haven't gotten to the point where YouTube is my career. This is a hobby because the YouTube community is something I want to get involved in. And also, it basically says that, for example, in the future, should I decide to critique a news article, to basically prove my point, I need to show it on my channel. I can't do it without copyright permission, and what are the chances of them getting back to a small-time YouTube creator, as well as YouTube content creator, or someone that they don't like? They will not give it out to me because they fear that I might cross them in their words. So, realistically, this is an attack on our freedom of speech. This is supposed to be similar to Article 11, that requires more than a single words, reproducing more than a single word, short asterisks, will require a license. Well, this has already failed miraculously in the European Union, and yeah, it doesn't really work per se, because the way things are going in this world, people are, for whatever reason or another, they are posting entire conversations, entire news articles. I mean, I just saw, I didn't, I saw a part of this, but I saw someone posting an entire conversation about the political actions of someone in particular. And it was more than a couple of words, and I do not know if they got a copyright strike, but maybe I'm just rambling on. Never mind. But the point is, what I'm trying to say is, some people like me want to have proof. We want to have proof to show our viewers where we are coming from, and sometimes it requires us to either show the article, show a section of the article, or even more, show a section of the article, or show a clip. Okay? So far, I want to say that I think YouTube has been doing an excellent job with this. I will admit there are some parts that I am annoyed with. Sometimes I feel like they are rather hypersensitive about a few viewers. They may be a bit hypersensitive, but at the same time, I think they were, on average, doing a more or less fair job. I will say I'm not pleased that they took some videos down from YouTube, because I was planning on using those videos as a reference for a future video, but those videos were rather graphic and disturbing, so I can see why. But at the same time, I'm confused because you need to log on to an account to actually look at them. But who knows? Maybe they're trying to make YouTube more family friendly. I don't know. But that's a little minor irritation I have with YouTube. And I think they're doing well. I do not think they need these extra crazy amendments to actually do their job. Thankfully, so far, this has happened. This is in the European Union. However, I am rather concerned as an American and as a person of the Western world and an heir to the Greek, Roman, and Judeo-Christian heritage that our wonderful world has, the Western world has, that created freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, freedom of thought, freedom of press. I'm concerned what this might cause, because Facebook and Twitter have allegedly Facebook and Twitter has been silencing cutting off and shadow banning several thousand prominent conservative Twitter and Facebook accounts. And there is talk that if you post an American flag or something pro-American, that could be labeled hate speech. I don't know entirely if it is true or not. I will not be surprised if it is true or not. I personally think Zuckerberg is, letting the power get to his head. Several weeks ago, or within a week or so ago, one of his co-founders talked about how Zuckerberg is getting out of control and the federal government needs to rein him in because he's violating various parts of the First Amendment to the Constitution, among others, so he needs to be brought in. I don't like what the co-founder said with saying that you should let Facebook police to determine whether or not fake news existed. I mean, whether to basically police and ensure fake news is not being presented on Facebook. I think that is going a step too far, because fake news is in the eye of the beholder, just like truth, the phrase, truth is in the eye of the beholder. I think that is a mistake, because people would look at what they want to believe, or what they believe, or what makes sense to them. CNN could be true all around the... Here's the thing. I'm not saying CNN is the truth or not. I'm using this as an example. Some of you who look at this and may dislike the video, which is okay, will think CNN is the truth. But a Muslim who looks at Al Jazeera in the Middle East might think that it is not true. So, and I'm trying to use that as an example because of the different cultural boundaries of our two civilizations. That's all. So, in other words, I think this whole freedom of speech problem must be taken care of. The big tech companies should not decide what we want to look at or not. If we want to look at what they think is fake news and post it on Facebook, that should be it should be our decision and our decision alone. If I prefer reading news from Israel, China, Brazil, or Russia, rather than the United States ones, that is my decision. That is your decision. If you want to look at news from Saudi Arabia over the United States, that should be your decision. And I'm just throwing out countries at random. That's all. I mean, you could preferably read Germany news instead. But the concept of our government, a republic, it's not a democracy, it's a representative democracy where we elect our representatives to vote on our behalf, is to trust in the masses that they will make the right decision on their own. And that is it, really. Of course, thankfully, the full details of Article 13 will not be implemented until 2020, 2021. So there is still hope for this whole problem to be taken care of. I will admit another reason why I am rather iffy about this is because I want to post Let's Plays on my YouTube channel sometime in the future, and I'm concerned what this might lead to. However, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. 2020, 2021 is when Article 13 is supposed to be implemented. And from what I understand, the European Union is going to rely on each of the individual member states to enforce this. So what can they do? Number one, they can offer very basic very basic principles on how to work this, which means make the enforcement of this as weak as possible, since it's realistically impossible to enforce this without getting too tyrannical. If you get too tyrannical, people are going to be upset with you. Or likely because this whole thing is ridiculous, because we've been doing this for a long, long time. Really. So either implement the law as lenient as possible, or leave the European Union. I mean, to those of you who are British that support Brexit and are disappointed, I will tell you this: do not give up, because the gap between I read a news article that talked about how the gap between the people who support Brexit and those who don't is thinning, and if the way things are going, those that support Brexit will be in the lead. So all you have to do is to keep up the pressure. Of course, that article likely is referring to British politicians, so it's up to you, British citizens, to keep up the pressure. Now, I imagine a lot of my American friends are wondering, and viewers are wondering, why am I bothering to do this, since this is a European affair rather than an American affair? Well, Martin Niemöller, a German Lutheran pastor who opposed the Nazis, I'm going to answer that for you. First, they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. I'm choosing to speak out for the British because I fear eventually they may come after me. And even though I dislike how much the liberals use freedom of speech, freedom of press, and whatever to defame the name of our president. To slander the name of our president, silence people who have opposing views, and saying a lot of things that are untruthful. At the end of the day, it's freedom of speech. I learned already that freedom of speech is a two-way thing. You just have to accept the fact you need to stand up for others. And just like what Martin discovered. Because if I do not speak up for the British, if I do not speak up for Europeans, because I'm not a European, I'm not a British. Eventually, this is going to come to the United States. The way things are going, the United States may eventually be the only country of the free world. The United States, as the leader of the free world, must fight to protect the freedoms that we enjoy. Because when all of Europe falls, they will come to here. Where will we go to next? To Canada? Canada likely leans towards Britain. They will likely adopt something similar to us. When the United States restricts freedom of speech, where do we have to go? We have nowhere left to go. I will leave you with those thoughts. Anyway, this is the Crusader Historian. Thank you so much for listening to me talk. Please leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye.